Hello everyone. Welcome back to whatever this channel is. Today I thought I'd make a video talking about all the books that have got me into reading. The books that got me into reading when I was 12, the books that got me back into reading when I was 20. Let's talk about some good books. I started my reading career off either in 2013 or 2014. I guess it was 2013. I was in 6th grade, so I was 12, and I came back from the cinema where I watched The Hunger Games Catching Fire. And I reacted the same way that probably everyone else did when they saw that film. And so I went and I read the first book. I don't need to go into what these books are about in this video. If you don't know, you don't know at this point. Like, if you don't know by now, you're never gonna know. I read the first book, and then I proceeded to read the second and the third one. And I was like, this reading thing, this could be the moment. And you know what I picked up after that? I picked up The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. And this one, I remember, solidified it for me. After reading this, I was like, okay, reading is the moment. It's my time to finally start reading some books. Again, I don't think I need to specify what The Fault in Our Stars is about, because I think everyone and their mother knows what that book is about. I remember reading it on Valentine's Day. I finished it on Valentine's Day, and I was just weeping, absolutely weeping. And I was like, wow, the fact that a book can have this much control over me. There are a few other books that I remember reading around that time that I remember absolutely loving, so I'm going to talk about those too. One of which was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Now, I read this way before it was a TikTok book. I read this back in 2014, and I was 12, so I would love to reread it now. I read it, and then I reread it, highlighting everything that was like alluding to the ending, and I remember loving that book so much. And now they're making it into a TV show. I would love to maybe reread it and just see if it still holds up. That one, if you don't know what it's about, I don't actually want to say anything because I think it'll give it away. It's like a thriller, but it's a really nice summary. I remember it being really good. But again, I read it 10 years ago, 11 years ago. The first booktube video I ever made, all of my old booktube videos are all private, but the first one I ever made was about a book called Alienated by Melissa Landers. I again would love to reread this one. I don't remember much about it, but it's about aliens coming to Earth and going to high school. And obviously then there's this romance with the main girl and the alien. I remember loving it, and I remember that it was the first booktube video that I ever filmed. It was a review for that book. Yeah, I think that one really held a good place in my heart. A book that I actually have with me that I was loving when I was in middle school was 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. I remember being so terrified when I read this that I had to like put it down and walk away at moments. This book is about 3 teenagers who get selected to this program where they get to go to the moon, but there are creatures on the moon that are set to harm them. I reread it maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it was still very fun. Like, it still holds a good place in my heart. Is it as scary as I remember it? No, but I still loved it when I was like 14. Finally, I think the book series that made the biggest impact on me when I was 14 was the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. This only includes Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me. Those were the 3 that were out while I was reading them. This book series has gone viral online. It's about a girl with a lethal touch. Anytime she touches someone, she instantly kills them. It's dystopian, has romance. These were my favorite books when I was 14. I think they're really accessible for younger readers because the writing is really simple and easy to read. Now that I've reread them as an adult, they don't quite feel the same as they did when I was 14, but would highly suggest that series for 14, 15-year-olds. It was amazing. After I was in middle school and I entered high school, I kind of went on this reading sabbatical, I guess. I wasn't really picking up books as much as I used to. I was barely even reading the assigned books for my English classes. I don't know, I just kind of fell out with reading for a little while. Then, oddly enough, COVID happened and we had nothing to do. I was in my senior year of high school, and COVID happened and we had nothing to do. We were in our houses for months. And I said, hey, why don't I just pick a random book off my bookshelf and read it and see how it goes? I haven't read in years, but let's try it. And that book was The Selection by Kiera Cass. Now listen, I understand that I was a senior in high school and was probably a bit too old for this series, but I didn't care. It was a blast. It was so fun. I read The Selection, The Elite, The One, The Heir, The Crown. They were all amazing. I honestly think even if I reread them right now, 5 years later, I would still have an amazing time. Those books are so fun. They were a pretty popular YA series, but if you don't know what they're about, it's like if you combined Hunger Games and The Bachelor. It's about a bachelor-like scenario where these women are competing for this man's love, but the man is like the prince. It's a dystopian, so there's a lot of action in it as well. I would highly recommend it, even though I know it's not very highbrow. But these books got me through the first few months of COVID, and I don't regret it at all, and I would probably reread them at some point. And then, after that, I had a little bit of a sabbatical again, and then didn't really pick up reading for a while, because I went to uni in the UK, and I was just having a whole life change. But there are a few books I still managed to read in uni, and now that I'm back to reading a lot more full-time, I'm going to talk about some of those books as well. This next book actually, unearthed something in me. I had not read a book that I liked so much and for so long. I picked it up because I saw the trailer for the film and the trailer looked so good. And then I read the book in like 3 days and I was like, this is amazing. And it's Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This feels like a little callback to The Hunger Games being the books that initially started my reading journey. This is by far my favorite of all of the Hunger Games books. Snow as the antagonist, but also the narrator, is so good. How you hear his inner monologue the whole time and you realize that he's crazy. It was so interesting to read. Anytime I see hate for this one, it makes me really sad because I think this is the best one out of them all, including Sunrise on the Reaping. This is honestly probably one of my favorite books. I think I'll need to reread that to solidify it, but I really loved it. And then after that, a little show called The Summer I Turned Pretty came out. The second season was coming out, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I just read these books to see what happens in season 3? So I've got The Summer I Turned Pretty, the OG. This one, honestly, I remember it being pretty boring. Nothing really happens in this book until the end. Maybe. This one's pretty dull, but I say power through this one because I remember these last two being good. This is It's Not Summer Without You and We'll Always Have Summer. I don't have the movie cover for this yet because it's not out yet, but it's coming out next month and y'all know I'm gonna be going straight to Waterstones. The movie covers for the series are so cute. I'm not usually a movie cover stan, but in this situation I have to be because they're so cute. These are definitely like such a beachy vibe. I remember the second one being like low-key really sad. It focuses a lot on grief, so although these are like easy, cheesy YA novels, they do tackle some hard topics like grief. But also, y'all know I'm Team Conrad all the way. Can't wait for season 3, and I can't wait to finally make all of them look the same so they can look identical on my shelf. But yeah, these were really fun. And then again, I went on a little bit of a sabbatical and didn't read for like 2 years. But I'm back. Here are 4 books that I really like this year so far. We've got 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I think this is on a list of like the 100 best books of the 21st century. Obviously, it's great. I think it's one of Stephen King's best books that I've heard of. I've only read 2 of his books. It's basically about a guy who finds a portal to 1958 in a diner, and he is set on a mission to stop the assassination of JFK. It's really long, about 850 pages, but it is fantastic. It's a mixture of science fiction and romance and thriller, especially if you can withstand a really long book. I'd say go for it and read this. You will definitely not be disappointed. Another book I've read this year that I really loved was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is about a guy who wakes up on a spaceship. He has no idea who he is, where he is, why he's there, but he realizes he's there to save the world. This one is so sweet. I don't want to say too much more about it without giving it away, but it is genuinely such a sweet, heartwarming book. Would recommend it to anyone. For my first 5-star read of the year, I've got Misery by Stephen King. Second Stephen King book I've ever read. I'm slowly trying to make my way through all of his books. This one is about an author named Paul Sheldon who gets into a car crash, and Annie Wilkes, his #1 fan, drags him out and basically kidnaps him. Stephen King is such a good writer. He writes his characters in ways where you just can't help but feel like they're real people. I've really never read any writing quite like Stephen King. He just has such a way of making things sound real and adding little details to his books where I'm like, oh, that's so good. I don't even know how to explain it. Like in 11/22/63, there is a character called the Yellow Card Man, and something about his character I just fascinated by the idea of. I've been perplexed about how he gets these ideas on how to write his characters. But yeah, Misery, fantastic. This is definitely one of his most famous books, and for good reason. It's very well written and really good. The last book I've got, I really didn't expect much from it when I read it, so I was really taken aback and surprised. This was the last book I finished, and it's The Mustache by Emmanuel Carrère? Who knows? This book is about a man who shaves off his mustache and no one notices, so he goes crazy. This one was actually insane. I don't know why I wasn't expecting much from it, probably because it's quite short. It's less than 200 pages, but it's really packed full of some crazy inner monologue. Would genuinely highly recommend this one because it just felt so unique and just really took me off guard and is very fun. I read it in like a day, so it's a quick, easy read. Those are all the books that have got me into reading or have kept me into reading. Hope you all enjoyed. Please go out and pick some of these books up if you can. Give them a read. Let me know if you enjoyed them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later.